Hello, hello, hello. This is the just after the live stream. I was going to talk about Mutaflor. This in regards to Kitty, Necro Kitty, and she was looking at some relief from constipation and stuff like that. I was actually looking at the US, and I'll just show you guys this. Apparently in the US, Mutaflor is the name of a single strain probiotic. It's an E. coli form back from the it's German, 1917. You read that right. There's another study claims that the probiotic helps leaky gut by improving the mucosal barrier of the gut. Unfortunately, it has been banned in the United States, apparently over a weird discrepancy. And I found what the weird discrepancy was, that somehow this sort of discrepancy is that the Food and Drug Administration don't view this strain as a probiotic. They view it as a medicine, a biological medicine. Now, I know that this is it's a bacteria that really has like very strong therapeutic things, but it's still probiotic. But they are treating it, they're saying, well, it has, because there's hundreds of studies showing therapeutic benefits. So they're saying, we're going to ignore all these European studies and all these other studies that are done. You need to do studies in the US, and only when we approve. I'm going, well, it just seems that there's something which has really got the potential of doing something good, and they just want to keep it out because there's a whole lot of other pharmaceuticals that basically have, well, there's a lot of money in it for the industry, for big pharma. So it is a bit unfortunate in that regard. This is the actual website for the actual German manufacturer. They're worldwide sort of thing. So that's the Canadian side. So there is actually a German direct site, and they cover the worldwide as well. Canada, so you could, but I'll go in a sec to the Canadian side. There's Finland and Australia. I got it from the Australian side. Now the Canadian site actually says Mutaflor is a probiotic, which it is, indicated to help and manage and provide relief from chronic constipation. It also helps reduce abdominal pain, cramps during instances of chronic constipation. And they go, information side effect, you know, they have to, there's the general spew that you have to go through via a doctor. And this is the actual company, which is a Canadian company, RLS Pharmaceuticals, that actually provides it. So by going to, I'll put all these links up. They actually, by going specifically, be able to get it. So you may have to get it. Yeah, they do say here, another thing is, where do they say it? Mutaflor is under license for Canada from Pharma Zentral, which is the German company. This product information is intended only for residents of Canada. So you may not be able to get it from the Canadian site if you're in the US, which is a real bugger. Yeah, so that is pretty annoying in that regard. And that's the Phoenix site. So if you're in Finland, that is your site to go to. And this is the actual German site. That's for cookies. Anyway, so that's the German site that covers that sort of stuff as well. And stress as well. Anyway, people can go and check the actual site. And that's the Australian site. Our site doesn't have a lot of information, which is really damn annoying. Tried to bring that up. Let me just refresh that. Anyway, I actually got a company, a pharmacy in Hobart to basically get it for me. Available without prescription in Australia, which is really nice in that regard. And they basically go through here and say Mutaflor is an E. coli strain, but it's not a pathogenic E. coli strain. Only probiotic registered in Australia, blah, blah, blah. This means, I won't go into that, Mutaflor registration, that's just relief and management of chronic constipation. Anyway, this one has the ability to colonize, antagonistic activity, inhibition of growth or killing of pathogens, which is really good. So if you've got pathogenic bacteria, you've got you know, some pathogens that need to be basically put back into their place, this one will do it. Anti-invasive prevents the colonization of the gut by pathogens, so it can actually inhibit other nasties from basically colonizing, so it will fight back. Synthesis of endogenous antimicrobial peptides, so it has a number of mucosal integrity, contribution to metabolism and stability of intestinal, you know, so we're talking about the milieu enhanced epithelial barrier function, so it improves that side. Anti-inflammatory, immunomodulatory effects as well. Stimulation of colonic mucosa, so your mucosal layer is stimulated to basically increase and grow and protect the actual lining of the gut. Anyway, some general information that I'm sort of aware of. Got some links here, but anyway, just to understand that this is an E. coli strain that was actually from a soldier. The actual, let me remember the story now. It was a soldier in the First World War that basically didn't get dysentery in the, where all of these other troops did, and he had certain protection. He had this and it's a strain of E. coli which is not pathogenic, and it has the ability to fight back against E. coli strains which are pathogenic that cause food poisoning. Now you understand why I basically got this, because I do go to third world countries and these sort of things are, you know, around, and I needed to protect myself, but it has other benefits as well. So let me just bring that link up. Oh, that's the E. coli facts in the World Health. That's their information about, you know, biofilm protection and stuff like that. So they go into that sort of information about explaining all this and the studies. They've been totally, what is it? I think over 300 studies anyway. So on this specific strain, That's one of the studies on the mechanisms underlying probiotic effects of this. Has been used for decades in medicine in Central Europe for the treatment and prevention of intestinal disorders and diseases. However, like the mechanism underlying its beneficial effects are only partially understood, and that's true. At least this was an independent paper that was actually done. So, but it does work. They know that it actually works, but they just don't understand all the mechanisms of this strain, how it actually works. So it's interesting in that regard. And what was the weird discrepancy in the US? This is on the healing. So I don't know who. FDA has blocked sale of E. coli Nissle to the US, and well over a year this morning. So this happened in. Okay, so what was thread this morning? Okay, let's just look at this. Find out the probiotic therapy of ulcerative colitis. Okay, so now it makes sense. It's a competitor. So if you've got ulcerative colitis, this helps where there's a shitload of products in the US that are competing. That's why they're keeping it out. Understood. Yes, it's affecting their business interests. Doesn't fucking surprise me. You know, FDA is a corrupt organisation anyway. So most organisations in the US are, because they're too politicised, as I said earlier. Yes. This is a PubMed study. New insights into old probiotic bacterium. Probiotic are alive, blah, blah, blah. The numerous mechanisms of probiotic, including induced expression of certain cytokines, increasing secretion, mucosal activation, lymphocytes, macrophage, inhibits adhesion of invasive or an invasion of epithelial cells. One of the most investigated probiotic bacteria. As I said, over 300 studies. I mean, how fucking, what more does the FDA require? Bunch of fucking criminal mafia, big pharma arseholes. Well, the number of reports discussing underlying mechanisms has increased rapidly in recent years. Novel clinical studies are missing. That means in the US. Here we provide an overview of the mechanism of action of clinical related studies on, while most of the studies had positive outcomes, there were also a few in which did not perform as its expectations. Now, I don't know what they may have had lower dosage or did it for a smaller period of time. That could also be, if you don't get good levels of colonization of something, it may not work as well. So that is other issues as well. Anyway, so that's basically the actual crux of it. It's good for a lot of, you know, for the gut barrier. I'm just going to stop that. It's good for basically pathogenic bacteria and pathogenic things like other E. coli as well. So it tends to be quite powerful in basically taking them on, and also improving constipation as well, chronic constipation. But I didn't take it for that reason. My major issue was going into the tropics and potentially being exposed to pathogenic bacteria. That's why I basically purchased it, to protect myself, to basically get this E. coli colonized in my body to basically give me that protection. And I can tell you, it has improved things. And I can find, because look, I have the norovirus type genetics, which basically means whenever I get bacterial infection or I get the flu or a cold or whatever, I usually really have problems with my gut. Have had, but that's past tense. But I don't know. Look, honestly, I don't know whether this product was the thing that sorted it, because I was doing a whole lot of other things at the same time, but it was in the mix. Now, I know there is another study here. I'll just quickly show it as well. I'll share it. You know, I did increase my meat intake at the same period, and zinc deficiency induces membrane barrier damage and increases neutrophil transmigration. So we're talking about here membrane barriers, gut mucosal layer, epithelial cells, and all these sort of areas that are affected by not enough zinc. So was it both? Did one help the other? Obviously, I think zinc has an importance, but since there's a lot of people on carnivore diets and don't seem to have issues with their guts, even though they're eating meat, I would say where zinc helps, I would say if you've got underlying pathogens that need to be brought under control, I think this strain of E. coli, this non-pathogenic, could potentially be the thing that actually provides you with relief. You know, I can't promise you anything in that regard, but you know, there's a lot of studies that show that it does help. Now, all these are sort of clinical studies that both this company has done, but also a number of other independent sort of entities have done. But they haven't been done in the US, and that's because there's politics involved, and they're trying to keep this product out. You know, the Canadians, if it was that bad, why are the Canadians allowing it? So I don't think there's an issue with the product. I think there's an issue with the gangster type FDA, which is beholden to the big pharma, and they see things like this as threats because, you know, a lot of these gut issues, there's a lot of dodgy products that a lot of these pharmaceutical companies produce that don't heal or fix the problem. They just keep you going and slightly give you some relief, but that doesn't fix the problem. So I believe that it's basically cutting into their business, simple as that, and they kept it out on a technicality. So yeah, unfortunately, that's a story. For people in the US, I would say go through the main site, the worldwide site, and hopefully it doesn't get intercepted at the border. Or go to Canada, drive to Canada and go and buy it there and bring it back. Yes, we could see some non-pathogenic E. coli, Mutaflor, you know, movements across the border. Sounds like something that people should get in contact with Jared to get a bit of information on how to do it. Anyway, in the other direction. But look, I'm not actually recommending American citizens break their laws or do anything that they shouldn't do. I think that it's a travesty that the product isn't allowed to be sold in the US. But, you know, I can't do anything about it. I can only bring to your attention what the product does. What you do to get access to it is really up to you. If you're in that part of the world where access is restricted. The rest of the world seems to be okay with this product. So I leave it in your capable hands. I hope you enjoyed this quick little video on this probiotic, and it's an option for people outside the US who are suffering a number of gut-related issues. Anyway, or want to travel around the world and potentially could find themselves at risk of certain pathogens, which is what I did, why I bought the product. So I had a different motive. Anyway, see yous.